The morning sky over New Chicago burned orange and black as Captain Jake Morrison pressed his back against the crumbling concrete wall. The Zephyrian ships hung in the air like dark metal vultures, their energy weapons carving through what remained of the city skyline. 3 years of war had reduced Earth's greatest cities to ash and rubble, and now humanity was making its final stand in the ruins of what was once home to 12 million people. Morrison checked his rifle's power cell and cursed under his breath. 30% charge remaining. His squad of 15 soldiers had been fighting for 6 straight hours, and ammunition was running dangerously low. The aliens had learned to cut supply lines first, starving human forces before moving in for the kill. It was a tactic that had worked on 47 other worlds across the galaxy. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez crawled up beside him, her tactical vest torn and bloodied. Her dark hair was matted with dust and sweat, but her eyes still burned with determination. She had been with Morrison since the war began, and together they had watched their forces shrink from millions to thousands to hundreds. Now they commanded one of the last active military units on the planet. "Sir, we've got movement 3 blocks north," Rodriguez whispered, pointing toward the skeletal remains of a shopping complex. "Looks like a full Zephyrian patrol, maybe 20 units with heavy weapon support." Morrison nodded grimly. 20 Zephyrian soldiers were equivalent to at least 60 human troops in terms of firepower and technology. Their energy shields could deflect most human weapons, and their plasma rifles could punch through concrete walls like paper. The only advantage humans had was tactical thinking and the desperate fury of a species fighting for survival. "Where's Carter?" Morrison asked, referring to Dr. Helen Carter, the scientist they had been ordered to protect at all costs. Command had been very specific about her importance, though they never explained why a research physicist was worth more than a dozen combat soldiers. "Safe in the subway tunnel with Jenkins and Martinez," Rodriguez replied. "She keeps asking about something called Project Sentinel. Says it's vital we get her to the Colorado mountains." Morrison had heard whispers about classified projects hidden in underground facilities, but he had always assumed they were just rumors. The military loved its secrets, and desperate people loved their conspiracy theories. Right now, his only concern was keeping his people alive long enough to see another sunrise. The ground shook as a Zephyrian plasma cannon fired somewhere in the distance. The aliens were methodical in their destruction, systematically eliminating any structure that could provide cover for human defenders. They had been doing this for decades across the galaxy, perfecting the art of planetary conquest. Earth was just another world to be stripped of resources and cleared of troublesome native life. "Sir, incoming transmission on the emergency channel," Sergeant Tim Walsh called out from his position near the communication equipment. Walsh was young, barely 22, but he had proven himself capable under fire. Like most of the survivors, the war had aged him far beyond his years. Morrison made his way over to Walsh, keeping low to avoid sniper fire. The radio crackled with static and interference from Zephyrian jamming equipment, but a human voice managed to break through the noise. It was Colonel Patricia Hayes from the Denver Underground Command Center. "All units, this is command. Enemy forces have breached the outer perimeter. We estimate 6 hours before complete facility overrun. Recommend immediate evacuation of all personnel to secondary positions." Morrison grabbed the radio handset. "Command, this is Morrison. We're pinned down in Sector 7 with heavy enemy presence. Request immediate extraction for priority asset Carter." The response came back filled with static and resignation. "Morrison, all extraction assets have been neutralized. You're on your own. Protect the asset at all costs. Repeat, protect Dr. Carter at all costs." The transmission cut to dead silence, leaving Morrison staring at the radio in his hands. They were truly alone now, the last organized military unit in a city full of alien hunters. He looked around at his remaining soldiers, seeing the same realization dawn on their faces. This was where they would make their final stand. Rodriguez appeared at his shoulder again. "Sir, what are your orders?" Before Morrison could answer, the distinctive whine of Zephyrian energy weapons filled the air. Blue plasma bolts began striking the building around them, sending chunks of concrete flying in all directions. The enemy patrol had found their position and was moving in for the kill. "All units, defensive positions," Morrison shouted over the chaos. "Make every shot count." His soldiers moved with practiced efficiency, taking cover behind whatever debris they could find and returning fire with their conventional weapons. The sharp crack of human gunfire mixed with the alien whine of plasma weapons as the final battle for New Chicago began in earnest. Morrison saw Rodriguez dive behind an overturned vehicle just as a plasma bolt vaporized the wall where she had been standing. Sergeant Walsh was firing controlled bursts from his assault rifle, trying to make his remaining ammunition last as long as possible. The other soldiers spread out along their defensive line, each one knowing they were probably about to die but determined to take as many aliens with them as possible. A Zephyrian soldier appeared around the corner of a ruined building, its tall gray form moving with inhuman grace. Morrison put 3 rounds center mass, watching them spark harmlessly off the alien's energy shield. The creature turned its large black eyes toward him and raised its plasma rifle with deliberate precision. Morrison rolled to the side, just as the energy beam carved through the air where his head had been. He came up firing, emptying his magazine at the alien's position. Other human weapons joined in, concentrating fire on the single target until its shield finally overloaded and collapsed. The Zephyrian staggered backward, purple blood spraying from multiple wounds before finally collapsing. But for every alien they killed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Morrison could see at least a dozen enemy soldiers advancing through the rubble, their shields shimmering blue in the smoky air. His tactical mind calculated odds and ammunition supplies, reaching the inevitable conclusion that they had minutes at most before being overrun. "Rodriguez, get Carter and the others out of here," he yelled over the gunfire. "Use the service tunnels to reach the river. Maybe you can find transport out of the city." "Sir, we're not leaving you behind," Rodriguez shouted back. But Morrison was already moving toward the enemy position. He had made his decision. Someone had to buy time for the others to escape, and he was the commanding officer. It was his responsibility to ensure the mission succeeded, even if he wouldn't live to see the outcome. Morrison charged forward into the storm of plasma fire, his rifle blazing as he closed the distance with the alien soldiers. He felt the first energy bolt graze his shoulder, spinning him around but not slowing his advance. The second one caught him in the chest, burning through his body armor and sending him crashing to the ground. As he lay bleeding in the rubble of his home world, Captain Jake Morrison could hear the sound of his soldiers retreating through the underground tunnels. At least some of them might survive to fight another day. He thought about Dr. Carter and her mysterious Project Sentinel, wondering if it could possibly matter now that humanity's last organized resistance was broken. His vision began to fade as his heart struggled to pump blood through his damaged body. In those final moments, Morrison felt a strange sense of peace. He had done his duty and protected his people to the very end. If there was any hope left for humanity, it would have to come from someone else now. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, in a facility that hadn't seen human presence for 20 years, automated systems registered the cessation of Captain Jake Morrison's biometric signature. Ancient computers awakened from their long sleep, initiating protocols that had been waiting decades for this exact moment. The final command authorization had been received and Project Sentinel was now active. Morrison's death had triggered something that would change the course of the war, though he would never know it. In hidden bunkers across the planet, cryogenic systems began their revival sequences, preparing to unleash humanity's final gambit upon an unsuspecting galaxy. The first sensation was cold, sharp, and sudden, like diving into an ice lake in winter. Phoenix felt his body fighting against the cryogenic gel that had kept him alive for 20 years, his enhanced lungs drawing their first breath of real air since the war began. The pod around him hissed and clicked as ancient machinery worked to bring him back to the world of the living. His eyes opened to darkness broken only by the soft blue glow of status lights. Memory flooded back in waves as his enhanced brain processed 2 decades of stored information. The Zephyrian invasion, the volunteer program, the experimental procedures that had changed him into something more than human. He remembered signing the papers and Dr. Elena Vasquez explaining that he might never wake up again. Phoenix pushed against the pod door and felt it give way easily, too easily. His muscles had grown stronger during the long sleep, fed by the enhancement serums that had been slowly rebuilding his body cell by cell. He stepped out onto the cold metal floor of the underground facility and immediately noticed that his vision was sharper than before. He could see perfectly in the dim light, picking out details that would have been invisible to normal human eyes. 300 miles away in a similar facility beneath the ruins of Detroit, another pod was opening. The man inside had been called Wraith before the long sleep, a former Army Ranger whose specialty was moving unseen through enemy territory. Like Phoenix, he felt the changes in his body immediately upon waking. His reflexes were faster, his hearing more acute, and his muscles contained power that seemed almost supernatural. Wraith tested his movement by stepping silently across the concrete floor. His feet made no sound at all, as if he was floating just above the surface. The enhancement process had exceeded all expectations, giving him abilities that bordered on the impossible. He could feel his heartbeat slow to barely 20 beats per minute, while maintaining full physical capability. In a bunker hidden beneath the Nevada desert, the third pod finished its revival sequence. The occupant was known as Titan, a former Marine heavy weapons specialist who had volunteered for the program after watching his entire unit get wiped out by Zephyrian plasma cannons. As he emerged from the cryogenic chamber, he immediately noticed that his already large frame had grown even more massive during the long sleep. Titan flexed his hands and watched the metal rail of his pod bend like soft plastic under his grip. The enhancement serums had been rebuilding his muscle density for 20 years, creating a human body capable of feats that defied normal biology. He could probably punch through a concrete wall without injury, and his bones felt as dense as steel. All three soldiers found holographic projectors waiting for them in their respective facilities. The image of Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared before each of them, looking exactly as she had 20 years ago when they volunteered for Project Sentinel. Her recorded message began to play as the enhanced soldiers listened with perfect attention. If you are hearing this message, then conventional human resistance has failed and you represent our species' final hope. The hologram spoke with quiet authority. You are part of Project Sentinel, an experimental program designed to create enhanced human soldiers capable of fighting when all else has been lost. 500 volunteers were placed in strategic locations across the globe, each modified with genetic enhancement technology that we hoped would give humanity a fighting chance. The hologram gestured to equipment storage areas that opened automatically as she spoke. Your bodies have been enhanced far beyond normal human capability. Your strength, speed, reflexes, and healing abilities now exceed anything we originally thought possible.
The enhancement process continued while you slept, adapting and evolving based on data collected from the first years of the war. Phoenix examined the equipment that had been prepared for him.
The body armor was unlike anything he had seen before the war, composed of materials that felt lighter than cloth but stronger than titanium. The weapons were clearly human in design, but incorporated technology that must have been developed during the invasion years. Everything was sized perfectly for his enhanced physique. You will find that you can interface directly with most pre-war human technology, the hologram continued. The enhancement process included neural modifications that allow you to communicate with our computer systems through thought alone. This will give you access to intelligence networks, satellite systems, and weapon platforms that survived the invasion. Wraith discovered this capability when he approached a computer terminal in his facility. Without touching the keyboard, he found he could access the system simply by focusing his thoughts on it. Information flowed directly into his mind, showing him real-time intelligence about Zephyrian positions throughout North America. The aliens had never managed to fully disable human surveillance systems. They had simply been unable to access them without the proper neural enhancements. Your primary objective is simple, Dr. Vasquez's image explained. Eliminate the Zephyrian occupation force and reclaim Earth for humanity. You have been given every tool we could provide, but success will depend on your ability to adapt and work together. The enemy has never faced opposition like you, and that surprise advantage may be the key to victory. Titan was examining a weapon that looked like a conventional assault rifle, but felt different in his enhanced hands. When he gripped it properly, the weapon seemed to activate some kind of targeting system that connected directly to his brain. Crosshairs appeared in his vision without any external display, and he instinctively knew the exact range and trajectory needed to hit any target he could see. The holographic message continued with technical details about their enhancements and tactical suggestions for engaging Zephyrian forces. The enhanced soldiers learned that they could survive injuries that would kill normal humans, that their reaction times were now measured in milliseconds rather than fractions of seconds, and that their endurance was virtually unlimited. Remember that you are still human despite these enhancements, Dr. Vasquez concluded. Your greatest advantages are not your physical capabilities but your human ability to think creatively, adapt to changing situations, and make sacrifices for the greater good. The Zephyrians conquer through overwhelming force and technological superiority. You must win through intelligence, determination, and the refusal to surrender that has always defined our species. The hologram faded, leaving the three soldiers alone in their respective bunkers with the weight of humanity's survival resting on their shoulders. Phoenix was the first to establish communication with the others, using the neural interface to connect with similar facilities across the planet. To his amazement, he found that nearly 400 of the original 500 volunteers had survived the long sleep and were now awakening. Wraith reported his position and requested tactical coordination. His enhanced senses were already detecting Zephyrian patrol routes near his facility, and he was eager to test his new abilities against the enemy. The aliens had grown comfortable during their years of occupation, establishing predictable patterns that could be exploited by properly trained soldiers. Titan confirmed that his bunker's weapon systems were fully operational and that he had access to experimental heavy weapons designed specifically for enhanced humans. The alien occupation forces in his area were concentrated around mining operations, making them vulnerable to coordinated strikes from multiple directions. As the enhanced soldiers prepared for their first missions, they felt a shared sense of purpose that had been missing from Earth for 3 long years. They were no longer fighting a desperate defensive action against superior forces. They were apex predators awakening in a world full of unsuspecting prey, ready to begin the hunt that would determine whether humanity survived or joined the dozens of other species that had fallen to Zephyrian conquest. The war was about to change, in ways the aliens could never have imagined, and it would begin with 3 enhanced humans stepping out of their hidden bunkers into a world that no longer recognized the limitations of normal human capability. Commander Lisa Park had been awake for 3 days when she received the first reports of impossible human activity across the globe. From her mobile command center hidden in the ruins of Seattle, she coordinated with over 200 enhanced soldiers who had successfully emerged from their cryogenic sleep. The neural communication network allowed them to share information instantly, creating a level of tactical coordination that had never existed in human warfare. The first strike came at dawn in the Nevada desert, where Titan had located a Zephyrian supply depot. The aliens had grown careless during their years of occupation, establishing predictable patrol schedules and leaving their installations lightly defended. They had conquered dozens of worlds using the same methods, and Earth had seemed no different from the others. Titan approached the depot from the east, moving with surprising stealth for someone of his massive size. His enhanced muscles allowed him to leap distances that would be impossible for normal humans, clearing obstacles and covering ground at incredible speed. The alien guards never saw him coming until he was already among them, his enhanced strength turning their energy weapons into twisted metal. The Zephyrian soldiers were tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes, built for efficiency rather than physical combat. Their technology had always been their greatest advantage, but technology meant nothing when an enhanced human could move faster than they could aim and hit harder than their armor could withstand. Titan eliminated the entire guard detail in less than 30 seconds, his movements too quick for the aliens to track. Meanwhile, 300 miles to the north, Wraith was demonstrating why stealth specialists had been chosen for the enhancement program. He moved through a Zephyrian patrol like a ghost, appearing behind individual soldiers just long enough to eliminate them before vanishing again. His enhanced reflexes allowed him to dodge their plasma fire even at close range, while his silence made it impossible for them to track his position. The aliens began firing wildly into the darkness, their disciplined formation breaking down as fear took hold. They had never faced an enemy they could not see or predict, and their training had not prepared them for psychological warfare. Wraith picked them off one by one, using their confusion and panic against them until none remained alive to report what had happened. Phoenix was conducting his own operation in the ruins of Chicago, systematically dismantling a Zephyrian communication hub. His enhanced strength allowed him to tear through their defensive barriers with his bare hands, while his improved reflexes let him dodge their automated defense systems. The aliens had built their installations to withstand conventional human weapons, not enhanced soldiers who could punch through steel plating. Commander Park monitored all 3 operations through the neural network, amazed at how effectively the enhanced humans were adapting to combat conditions. The enhancement process had not just improved their physical capabilities, but had somehow optimized their tactical thinking as well. They moved and fought with an efficiency that seemed almost supernatural, finding weaknesses in alien defenses that normal humans would never have noticed. Colonel Ryan Brooks was the first Zephyrian commander to realize that something had changed about human resistance. His patrol reports described encounters with human soldiers who moved faster than his sensors could track and hit harder than their weapons could measure. The description seemed impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. Entire Zephyrian units were disappearing without sending distress signals or leaving survivors to explain what had happened. Brooks brought his concerns to Overlord Thane Crix, the reptilian creature responsible for Earth's occupation. Thane Crix had personally overseen the conquest of 17 worlds and had never encountered resistance that continued after conventional military forces were eliminated. The reports from his subordinates described human capabilities that defied everything they knew about the species. These new humans fight differently. Brooks explained through the translation device that allowed Zephyrian and human languages to be understood by both species. They appear and disappear without warning. Our energy shields provide no protection against their attacks. Our weapons cannot track their movements fast enough to achieve target lock. Thane Crix dismissed these concerns as the products of fear and inexperience. The human species had been thoroughly studied before the invasion, and their physical limitations were well documented. No amount of desperation could allow them to exceed the biological constraints that governed all organic life. What his subordinates were describing was simply impossible. But the impossible was happening throughout occupied Earth as more enhanced soldiers joined the growing resistance network. Unit Ghost specialized in psychological warfare, using enhanced speed and stealth to create fear and confusion among alien occupation forces. He would appear in Zephyrian camps long enough to eliminate key personnel before vanishing again, leaving the survivors to wonder when and where he might strike next. The aliens began changing their patrol patterns and increasing security around critical installations, but these measures only made them more predictable to the enhanced humans monitoring their communications. The neural network allowed every awakened soldier to share tactical information instantly, creating a collective intelligence that adapted faster than the aliens could respond. Dr. Sam Torres was hiding in the ruins of a research facility when he first encountered enhanced humans in action. He had been one of the few scientists to survive the initial invasion and had spent 3 years documenting alien technology and behavior. When Phoenix and 2 other enhanced soldiers appeared at his location, Torres initially thought he was hallucinating from malnutrition and stress. The enhanced soldiers moved with fluid precision that seemed to defy physics, communicating through methods that required no spoken words or visible signals. They eliminated a Zephyrian patrol that had been hunting Torres without the aliens ever realizing they were under attack. The entire engagement lasted less than 5 minutes and left no evidence except alien bodies scattered throughout the rubble. Torres joined the resistance network and began providing scientific analysis of captured Zephyrian technology. His expertise helped the enhanced soldiers understand alien weaknesses and adapt their tactics accordingly. He also confirmed what the enhanced soldiers had suspected about their own capabilities. The enhancement process had not just improved existing human traits, but had somehow unlocked genetic potential that normal humans never accessed. As weeks passed, the pattern of successful operations created a growing legend among surviving human civilians. Stories spread through hidden settlements and underground shelters about mysterious protectors, who appeared whenever Zephyrian forces threatened human survivors. The aliens tried to suppress these stories, but they could not explain away the mounting evidence of their own losses. Commander Park established communication with survivor groups across North America, offering protection in exchange for intelligence about alien activities. The enhanced soldiers were incredibly effective in combat, but they still needed human networks to identify targets and coordinate larger operations. Working together, normal and enhanced humans began to rebuild something resembling organized resistance. The war had entered a new phase, though the Zephyrians were only beginning to understand what they now faced. Their conquest of Earth had been proceeding according to standard procedures until enhanced humans began their campaign of systematic elimination. Now the aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to learn and adapt faster than their own strategic planning could accommodate. What had begun as isolated incidents was evolving into coordinated warfare that threatened the stability of the entire occupation force. The enhanced soldiers were not just surviving, but thriving in conditions that should have been impossible for any organic life form. They were proving that human determination combined with enhanced capability could overcome even the most advanced alien technology, and they were just getting started. 6 months after the awakening, the enhanced soldiers had evolved beyond what anyone thought possible. Storm felt the changes most clearly as she piloted the captured Zephyrian fighter through Earth's atmosphere, at speeds that should have killed any human pilot. Her body adapted to the crushing forces of acceleration while her enhanced brain processed flight data faster than the alien computer systems could provide it. She had been a test pilot before volunteering for Project Sentinel, one of the few humans who understood both atmospheric and spaceflight dynamics. The enhancement process had turned her into something that could interface directly with any flying machine, human or alien. When she first touched the controls of the captured Zephyrian craft, it responded to her thoughts as if it had been built specifically for her enhanced nervous system. The fighter was sleek and deadly, shaped like a curved blade with energy weapons that could punch through the hull of a battleship. Storm had stolen it during a raid on a Zephyrian airfield, eliminating the alien pilots and ground crew before they could react to her presence. The ship's computer systems had tried to resist her control, but her enhanced neural interface simply overpowered their security protocols. Now she flew through the ruins of what had once been New York City, hunting for the orbital supply ships that kept the alien ground forces equipped and fed. The Zephyrians had never faced aerial opposition after destroying Earth's conventional air force, and their supply runs followed, predictable patterns that made them easy targets for an enhanced human pilot. Storm's enhanced vision could track multiple targets simultaneously, while her improved reflexes allowed her to engage them with precision that defied normal human capability. She destroyed 3 Zephyrian transport ships in less than 10 minutes, watching them crash into the Hudson River in balls of flame and twisted metal. The aliens aboard never had time to send distress signals or understand what was attacking them. Captain Ben Murphy was leading a different kind of operation in the underground tunnels beneath Los Angeles. His enhanced strength allowed him to move through collapsed subway systems that would have trapped normal humans, while his improved endurance let him march for days without rest. Murphy had been a Marine commander before the enhancement process, and now he led a strike team of 12 enhanced soldiers against the largest Zephyrian command center on the West Coast. The facility was built inside a mountain, protected by energy barriers and automated defense systems that the aliens thought made it impregnable. Murphy and his team approached through natural cave systems, using their enhanced senses to navigate in complete darkness while avoiding the alien sensor networks. Their enhanced bodies could survive in conditions that would kill normal humans, including the thin air and freezing temperatures deep inside the mountain. The assault began at midnight when Murphy's team emerged from the caves directly inside the command center's main hall. The Zephyrian soldiers on duty were caught completely off guard, as enhanced humans appeared among them like vengeful spirits. Murphy's team moved with coordinated precision that seemed almost choreographed, each soldier knowing exactly where the others would be and what they would do next. The enhanced humans fought with weapons they had captured and modified, energy rifles that had been adjusted to work with their improved reflexes and strength. Murphy himself carried a Zephyrian plasma cannon that normally required a tripod mount, wielding it like a conventional rifle while his enhanced muscles absorbed the recoil that would shatter normal human bones. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes before the last Zephyrian defender fell. Murphy's team had eliminated over 200 alien soldiers and captured the facility's main computer core, which contained intelligence about Zephyrian operations throughout the solar system. The enhanced soldiers discovered that Earth was just one part of a vast galactic empire that had been conquering worlds for thousands of years. Admiral Zixvorth commanded the Zephyrian fleet in orbit around Earth, and he was beginning to understand that the human resistance had changed into something entirely different. His ship sensors were detecting human aircraft that moved faster than anything in his database, while his ground commanders reported encounters with human soldiers who seemed to possess supernatural abilities. The Admiral had overseen the conquest of 12 worlds during his long career, and he had never seen anything like what was happening on Earth. Human resistance should have collapsed completely after their organized military forces were eliminated, but instead it had evolved into something more dangerous than ever before. The reports he received described human capabilities that challenged everything the Zephyrian Empire knew about organic life. Zixvorth increased orbital bombardments of suspected human strongholds and deployed additional troops to critical installations, but these measures only seemed to make the enhanced humans more effective. They adapted to his tactics faster than he could implement them, finding weaknesses in his defenses that his strategic computers insisted did not exist. Dr. Sam Torres had become the enhanced soldier's primary analyst of captured alien technology, and his research revealed disturbing information about Zephyrian military doctrine. The aliens had conquered 49 worlds using identical methods, always following the same pattern of initial assault, followed by systematic elimination of organized resistance. Earth was the first world where this approach had failed. Torres discovered that the Zephyrian Empire had never developed tactics for fighting an enemy that could match or exceed their technological advantages. Their entire military structure was built around overwhelming primitive species with superior firepower and technology. When faced with enhanced humans who could turn their own weapons against them, the aliens had no fallback strategies or alternative approaches. The enhanced soldiers used this information to plan increasingly ambitious operations against Zephyrian installations throughout the solar system. Storm led raids against orbital platforms while Murphy's ground teams struck at planetary command centers. Other enhanced soldiers specialized in sabotage operations that crippled alien supply lines and communication networks. Captain Nicole Carter emerged from her cryogenic pod 2 months later than most of the other enhanced soldiers, but her awakening brought capabilities that none of the others possessed. She could interface not just with human technology but with alien systems as well, creating a bridge between the two different technological approaches that opened up entirely new possibilities for the Resistance. Carter discovered that her father, General Marcus Stone, had uploaded his consciousness into Project Sentinel's computer systems before his death. The AI version of her father had been coordinating enhanced soldier operations from hidden facilities across the globe, using his military expertise to guide the Resistance campaign. Together, father and daughter began planning operations that would have been impossible for normal humans to conceive or execute. The enhanced soldiers learned that their capabilities were still growing stronger with each passing month. Their bodies continued to adapt and evolve, developing new abilities that the original enhancement process had never anticipated. Some could survive in vacuum for short periods, while others could interface directly with electronic systems. Through touch alone, these developing abilities allowed for operations that pushed the boundaries of what even enhanced humans should have been capable of achieving. Storm began conducting solo raids against heavily defended Zephyrian battleships while other enhanced soldiers infiltrated orbital installations that should have been completely inaccessible to any organic life form. The war had become a contest between Zephyrian technology and enhanced human adaptability, and the aliens were discovering that their traditional advantages meant nothing against an enemy that could evolve faster than their strategic planning could accommodate. The enhanced soldiers were no longer just surviving the occupation, but actively dismantling it piece by piece, proving that human determination combined with enhanced capability could overcome any obstacle the galaxy could present. 2 years after Captain Jake Morrison's death, fewer than 150 enhanced soldiers remained active across the globe. The enhancement process that had made them superhuman was also consuming their bodies from within, burning through their cellular structure faster than it could regenerate. Phoenix could feel his heart working harder each day, his enhanced metabolism demanding more energy than any organic system could sustain indefinitely. But with each passing day, those who survived grew stronger still. Their abilities had reached levels that defied every law of biology and physics that humanity had ever discovered. Storm could now survive in the vacuum of space for over an hour, her enhanced lungs extracting oxygen from her own bloodstream while her skin resisted the deadly radiation. Wraith could move so quickly that he appeared to teleport, covering impossible distances in the blink of an eye. The final confrontation began when sensors detected the massive Zephyrian mothership entering Earth's solar system. Supreme Overlord Krex Thane had come personally to oversee what his empire called the final pacification of Earth. The ship was over 20 miles long, carrying enough firepower to reduce entire continents to molten glass and an army of 1 million Zephyrian soldiers equipped with the most advanced weapons their civilization had ever created. Captain Nicole Carter stood in the hidden command center deep beneath the Colorado mountains, her enhanced senses allowing her to interface simultaneously with hundreds of different computer systems. Through the global network, she could see through the eyes of every surviving enhanced soldier and coordinate their actions with precision that bordered on the supernatural. Her father's consciousness, preserved in the facility's quantum computers, provided tactical guidance that drew on decades of military experience. The mothership will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. General Stone's artificial voice spoke through the communication system. This is our only chance to strike before they can deploy their full invasion force. Every enhanced soldier must coordinate their attack simultaneously, targeting critical systems across their entire fleet. Phoenix acknowledged the order from his position aboard a captured Zephyrian cruiser in high orbit. His enhanced strength had allowed him to tear through the ship's hull with his bare hands during the boarding action, while his improved reflexes let him dodge energy weapons fire in the cramped corridors. The alien crew had fought bravely but could not match his superhuman capabilities. Storm was piloting a formation of stolen Zephyrian fighters toward the mothership's main hangar bay, her enhanced pilot skills allowing her to fly maneuvers that would have killed any normal human. The fighters moved in perfect coordination, their alien weapon systems modified to respond to enhanced human neural interfaces. Behind her flew 12 other enhanced soldiers, each one capable of single-handedly destroying a Zephyrian battleship. On the planet's surface, Wraith led a strike team against the orbital defense platforms that protected the mothership's approach vector. His team moved through the installations like ghosts, appearing and disappearing so quickly that the alien defenders could never target them effectively. Enhanced humans eliminated entire guard posts in seconds, their superhuman speed and strength making conventional defenses utterly useless. Supreme Overlord Krex Thane watched the attack unfold from the bridge of his mothership with growing disbelief. The sensors showed human forces that moved faster than his targeting systems could track and hit harder than his shields could deflect. These creatures fought with coordination and precision that exceeded anything his empire had encountered in thousands of years of conquest. The Supreme Overlord was over 8 feet tall with scales that could deflect energy weapons and claws that could tear through metal plating. He had personally led the conquest of 37 worlds and had never been defeated in battle. But the readings from his instruments showed human capabilities that challenged everything he understood about organic life in the universe. Captain Ben Murphy breached the mothership's main reactor chamber with a team of 6 enhanced soldiers, their bodies protected by captured Zephyrian armor that had been modified to accommodate their superhuman physiques. The reactor was a massive sphere of contained energy that powered the entire ship, protected by automated defense systems and energy barriers that should have been impenetrable to any boarding party. Murphy's enhanced strength allowed him to tear through the defensive barriers while his team eliminated the Zephyrian technicians who tried to stop them. The enhanced soldiers moved with fluid precision, each one knowing exactly what the others would do without any need for verbal communication. Their neural links allowed them to coordinate actions across multiple levels of the ship simultaneously. Nicole Carter felt the strain of maintaining neural contact with every enhanced soldier in the attack force. Her brain processed tactical information from hundreds of different sources, while coordinating strike patterns that required split-second timing across vast distances. The enhancement process had given her capabilities that no human mind was designed to handle, and she could feel her consciousness beginning to fragment under the impossible load. Her father's artificial intelligence provided support by taking over routine coordination tasks, but even his quantum processing power was being pushed to its limits. The final assault required precision that challenged the capabilities of both enhanced human biology and advanced computer systems working together. Storm's fighter squadron penetrated the mothership's hangar bay and immediately began attacking critical systems from within. Her enhanced reflexes allowed her to pilot through defensive fire that filled the air with deadly energy beams, while her modified weapons carved through alien hull plating like paper. Other enhanced soldiers followed her lead, spreading throughout the massive ship to strike at vital systems. The battle raged across multiple dimensions as enhanced humans fought Zephyrian defenders in the corridors of the mothership while their comrades attacked support vessels throughout the solar system. Phoenix single-handedly disabled 3 Zephyrian cruisers by tearing through their reactor cores, his enhanced body surviving radiation levels that would have killed 1,000 normal humans. Supreme Overlord Krexthane finally understood that his empire faced an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. These enhanced humans possessed abilities that exceeded the physical limitations of organic life, fighting with determination that bordered on the supernatural. They were not just defending their world, but actively destroying an invasion, force that should have been invincible. The climactic moment came when Nicole Carter and Supreme Overlord Krexthane faced each other in the mothership's command center. Her enhanced speed allowed her to move faster than his weapons could track, while her growing abilities let her interface directly with alien technology through touch alone. The Supreme Overlord fought with the strength and skill of a warrior who had conquered dozens of worlds, but he could not match the combination of enhanced human capability and desperate determination. As Krexthane fell, his mothership began breaking apart from the coordinated attacks of enhanced soldiers throughout its structure. The Zephyrian fleet, deprived of central command and facing impossible human opposition, began retreating from Earth's solar system in complete disorder. The enhanced soldiers had achieved what conventional military forces could never have accomplished, defeating a galactic empire through sheer determination and enhanced human capability. In the aftermath of victory, the surviving enhanced soldiers gathered in the Colorado facility where their long journey had begun. Their bodies were failing as the enhancement process finally consumed more energy than they could sustain, but they had accomplished their mission. Earth was free and humanity would survive to rebuild among the stars. Nicole Carter, supported by her father's preserved consciousness, began coordinating the reconstruction effort as normal humans emerged from their hiding places to reclaim their world. The enhanced soldiers had sacrificed everything to ensure their species' survival, proving that human determination could overcome any obstacle the universe might present.